Night of the Nine Tails, I Punched the Tailed Beast Ball Chapter 1, Kidnapped by Konoha. Chapter 1 Kidnapped by Konoha. Konoha Village, the top of the Hokage building. Please, 4th generation. Hizawa Sarutobi, wearing the Hokage robe, handed the Hokage cap to the 4th Hokage Namikaze Minato with both hands with a serious face. Namikaze Minato nodded seriously, I am willing to give my life to protect Konoha. Then Namikaze Minato walked up to the villagers and ninjas who were watching the ceremony, and accepted their cheers. Fujiwara Nagasawa was also one of the many cheering and applauding people. He is very happy that Minato can become Hokage, and feels that if Minato is given time, there will be a different Konoha. Because they entered school together with Minato and were in the same class, the two are close friends. At first, he might have thought of hugging his thigh, but later he really thought that Minato was very good, and he became a real friend. It's a pity that the Ninetales Rebellion will happen next year, and Minato will die because of it. Yomza looked at Minato above with a sunny smile, thinking about how to break the situation. Although he is a time traveler, he didn't have a good birth, neither Uchiha nor Senju Hinata, just an ordinary person. Even if he worked very hard and used a bit of prophetic advantage and modern knowledge, his current strength is only Jonin. But in front of a real strong person, such as Minato, he may not last 3 minutes. So if you want to rely on strength to break the game, then basically don't think about it. But he couldn't tell Minato directly about it. It's too difficult to explain the source of the information. Maybe he'd have to be invited to Umbu or even Genbu instead. Sandai and Danzo wouldn't believe his nonsense. Injuriki is too sensitive. Just as Yongza was thinking hard about how to break the situation, a mysterious voice sounded in his head, and a blue panel appeared in front of him. Congratulations to the host, you have successfully bound my village. Your everything will be bound to my village. Kai village is strong and prosperous, you will get various rewards. If my village declines and perishes, it will affect your body and even your lifespan. Yongza's expression became serious. No one would dare to use illusions on him in such a conference, and it was probably true. He was a little flustered, and his face became a little ugly. This is not because he is bound to Konoha, it is like he was kidnapped by Konoha. Who doesn't know that Konoha is full of disasters and disasters, not to mention the anti-me guy who directly flattened Konoha. The Ninetales Rebellion next year is enough, and there is no plan for Konoha's collapse. Nagaze took a deep breath to calm himself down, and looked at the panel. Current binding, my village. Current status, general. Prosperity, 1234. Suggestion, I have just gone through the war and need to recuperate. Yongza rubbed his brows, Konoha's condition is really normal now. After all, Konoha fought with all 4 major powers in the Third War, and was a little injured. But the more hurtful thing is yet to come. Soon the research of Orochimaru will be discovered by the 3rd generation, and then Orochimaru will defect. Thinking of Konoha's various predicaments, Yongza felt dizzy. In the past, he could still develop obscenely and secretly, but now it is really terrible. The Ninetales Rebellion will be next year. God knows if his lifespan will be deducted, and how much lifespan will be deducted. The host can bind character templates, the stronger and more prosperous the bound building, the more powerful the character template you can choose to bind. According to the current situation of Konoha, you can choose one template from the following 3 templates. Golden Lion Shurji, after prison break. Whitebeard Edward Newgate, war on top. Railgun Misaka Mikoto, LV5. Bound Whitebeard Edward Newgate. Looking at these 3 templates, Yongza immediately chose the Whitebeard template. Even during the war, he was old and sick, but he was still white-bearded, the man who was called the strongest man in the world. With the power of the old white beard, it is enough to have a hand to crush the 9 tails. The binding is successful, the current fusion degree is 40%, gifted by the system. The fusion degree can be increased by spending points, and the fusion degree can be increased by being close to the template. When the fusion degree reaches 100%, the template will be directly integrated into the host body. Please actively improve the fusion degree. Yongza touched his chin, he thought he could get the full strength of Whitebeard in one go, it seems that he was thinking too much. Only by improving the degree of fusion can we slowly grasp the power of the template. But what is approach, what to approach? Could it be that the image is close? Want him to have that kind of crescent beard? Or to recognize a few suns? Yongza shook his head, feeling that these ideas are very unreliable. However, Yongza clenched his fist, feeling as if he had endless power, and smiled, even if it is 40% fusion, I am now a shadow-level powerhouse. After 23 years of hard work, coupled with a little help from the system, he finally has the strength of the movie class, and he is not weak among the movie class. A new shadow-level powerhouse appeared in Konoha, the prosperity increased, and 50,000 points were obtained. Yongza's expression was a bit astonished. The system can get points for helping him become stronger, and the points can make him stronger. Wouldn't it be infinite loop? But after looking at the points needed to upgrade the Whitebeard template, he extinguished this thought. The viewing ceremony ended soon, and everyone went back to their homes, while Yongza waited for a while, and then walked up to the Hokage building. When a good friend becomes Hokage, it's not enough just to applaud from below, he has to go up and congratulate himself. Knocking on the door and entering Hokage's office, Nagasawa happened to see Kushina excitedly beating Minato's chest with her fists. It seems that I wrongly blamed the old man of 3 generations before. I didn't expect him to still have vision. I chose you as Hokage. Good guy. As soon as I came in, I saw the current Mrs. Hokage complaining about the previous Hokage. I thought that old man would hold Hokage's position until his death, but it turns out that you are too good, Minato. Ahem. Looking at Kushina who was still out putting continuously, Yongza had to cough twice to enhance his sense of presence. Nagasawa is here. Minato also reminded thoughtfully, and then touched his aching chest, too strong a wife has its disadvantages. Jio Shinai smiled indifferently, it doesn't matter, Yongza is one of his own. Minato looked at Kushina with doting eyes helplessly. Feeling that he was being fed a mouthful of dog food, Yongza quickly said, Minato, congratulations on becoming Hokage, I won't disturb your celebration, let's go first. Yongza, wait a minute, I have something important to tell you. Minato called Yongza to stop. Yongza had no choice but to take back the foot that was about to step out of the door, and then turn to look at Minato. I hope you can join Anbi as my right-hand man, can you, Nagasawa? Minato looked at Nagasawa with hope. This is not an order, but an invitation. Yongza is his friend since the first grade of ninja school. Minato can say that apart from Yongza himself, no one knows Yongza better than him. Although Yongza has always maintained mediocre grades in school and was promoted to Chunin very late after graduation, but during the long-term relationship with Yongza, he discovered that this is the result of Yongza deliberately hiding it. Under the mediocre shell is an unborn genius, whether it is current affairs or ninjutsu development, the other party can talk about it with eloquence. It's a pity for Minato that only he and Kushina can see this genius side. So he wants to truly use Nagasawa's ability, and the two of them will make Konoha stronger together. Newcomers and new books, please support. End of this chapter. Knight of the Nine Tails, I Punched the Tailed Beast Ball Chapter 2, Ordinary Chunin Fujiwara Nagasawa. Chapter 2 Ordinary Chunin Fujiwara Nagasawa. But I'm just an ordinary Chunin. Yongza replied subconsciously. It may be that his strength came too suddenly, or because of his personality, he still subconsciously wanted to make a move. You know, when he was in ninja school, all his grades were always in the position of passing. He thinks that good or bad people will attract attention, and only ordinary people will not be noticed. The same is true after graduation. In the first 4 years, he rejected the recommendation of the Chunin exam because of his lack of strength. After failing 3 more times, he was smoothly promoted to Chunin. So in the impression of most people, Yongza has always been an ordinary ninja who is handsome but has little talent. Although your position is Chunin, I know that your strength is far more than that. Minato smiled and shook his head, if even you, Nagasawa, are considered ordinary, how many people in the ninja world can be regarded as strong? He doesn't know the extent of Yongza's strength, because Yongza is always hiding, even he dare not say that he knows everything about Yongza. But only what Yongza showed, at least they are the elite of Jonin. Including Yongza AI's hidden temperament, maybe his real strength is not necessarily the same as him. No one knows Nagasawa better than Minato. Looking at Minato with a confused and confident face, Nagasawa scratched his head, wondering if he had been hiding too much, causing Minato to make up a lot of things that didn't exist. But in a sense, Minato was right. Now that he has the white beard template, he is indeed a strong man in the current ninja world. Yongza bowed his head in thought, analyzing the pros and cons of entering Umbu. Before, I kept hiding because I was afraid of danger. Chunin and Hunin faced different tasks on the battlefield. The other thing is that he is afraid of being discovered by those old Inbi in the ninja world. But now he is bound to Konoha, and damage to Konoha means he is in danger. With the addition of the Whitebeard panel, the strength can be considered to be good, so you can try to change your strategy and give full play to your subjective initiative. Okay, I promise, I will do my best, but it may not meet your expectations. Yongzei replied. Yeah, I know, after all, you're just an ordinary Chunin. Seeing that Yongza agreed, Minato smiled and joked. I will notify you of the specific matters in 3 days. The transfer of power has not been completed yet, Minato said. Nagasawa nodded, and then walked out of Hokage's office. It was time for the young couple to celebrate, and he didn't want another big bowl of dog food. Yongza did not go home after leaving Hokage building, but came to a forest in the corner of Konoha. The scorching sun's blazing sunlight was blocked by the bright green leaves, only a few strands penetrated through the gaps between the green leaves and shone into the forest, forming green spots. Yongza walked in this bright and green forest, and finally stopped in an open space. This is his daily practice place. Because of the previous need to hide his strength, he didn't like to go to the training ground built in the village. I made one myself in an inconspicuous corner of Konoha. He also specially learned the sealing technique with Joshinai, and he sealed a simple technique here, which is triggering. He can know that the place is exposed through the disappearance of chakra, and then directly change the place. Anyway, there are only some traces of practicing ninjutsu, and there is no research data. There are wooden stake targets and some big stones in the open space. Sometimes when practicing more powerful ninjutsu, such as the spiral ball, wood will not work, and a harder stone is needed. Yongza walked up to a 5-meter-high boulder and raised his fist. But unlike usual, this time he didn't use any ninjutsu, not even chakra. Instead, used the power obtained from the binding panel, armed color domineering. Soon, Yongza's entire arm was covered by a jet-black substance, which looked like a steel-like arm. Boom! Yongzei directly punched the stone. Boom! The stone exploded instantly, gravel splashed everywhere, and a huge cloud of dust filled the air. Yongza looked at the bursting boulder and showed a satisfied smile. You know, whether it's armed color or his own strength, he didn't even use half of it just now. And such a punch, if it hits an ordinary jonin, it will definitely be punched to death directly. If you use Chakra's skills again, wouldn't it be? At this moment, Nagasawa feels that he can have a friendly sparring with Fourth Raikage. At the same time, he was looking forward to the situation after the fusion degree was full. 40% fusion has caused a qualitative change in the strength of his body. If it is 100%, it will be fine. Immediately afterwards, Yongza sensed his surroundings with a domineering look. He's going to make a big deal, it's not good to be seen. Although Whitebeard's physique is very domineering, his ability to shake fruit is the core of Whitebeard's destructive power. Earthquake fruit is simply a devil fruit born for destruction, which can easily create natural disasters such as earthquakes and tsunamis. It's a good thing I'm wearing Hokage, there are no sea stones here, and the only fly in the ointment has disappeared. Thought Yongza. The reason why those devil fruit ability users in One Piece are afraid of water is actually the pyrobroin component in the water, which is not in the water of Naruto world. Yongza mobilized the power of the shaking fruit in his body, and immediately a round white halo appeared on his right hand. A punch hit the ground. Click. The air seemed to have turned into a mirror that was shattering, and cracks appeared and spread everywhere. Boom! Big chunks of ground cracked instantly, making a loud noise, mud splashed for a while, and smoke and dust rose instantly. At the moment of punching, Yongza left directly using the instant body technique. This is already the result of his restraint. The Jinjin fruit is too destructive. He feels that if he fights with people in the future, it is best not to fight in the village, otherwise the enemy will not destroy much, and all the buildings will be destroyed by him. Not long after Yongza left, 2 Umbu ninjas wearing animal masks came to this remote forest. One of the Umbu ninjas looked at the messy scene here, felt it, frowned and said, "There is no remaining chakra, is it an ordinary collapse? But it doesn't seem like." Another Umbu ninja rummaged through a large amount of rubble, and then said, "There are some pieces that look like wooden targets. Maybe this open space was originally a training ground." The mood of the 2 of them instantly became a little easier. If it is a training ground, then the option of spies doing things can be ruled out. Spy won't have enough food to do this. But out of caution, they still searched around and left after finding nothing. Just signed a peace treaty with the land of Earth, the entire ninja world is undercurrent surging, cannot relax. End of this chapter. Night of the Nine Tails, I Punched the Tailed Beast Ball Chapter 3, Kakashi. Chapter 3 Kakashi. During the 3 days of waiting for the news from Watergate, Yongza was familiarizing himself with the power of the Whitebeard template. In order to fully display the power of the Jinjin fruit, he even went out of the village. Currently, the only thing he doesn't know the specific effect of is Overlord color. Due to time constraints, he didn't find any kind of rebellious ninja, but only found a nest of bandits, so he doesn't know the effect of bully color on ninjas for the time being. And he found a surprise, probably because his body has become stronger, he can now refine chakra much faster than before. Yongza did not completely give up on the path of chakra. After all, the upper limit of chakra is very high, and the existence of the 6th level is stronger than the white beard of the middle-aged. While Yongza was refining chakra, there was a knock on the door. "Enter." An Umbu ninja wearing an animal mask walked in and said, "Master 4 asked you to go to Hokage's office." Yongza Shindao finally came and nodded. Yongza walked into the office, and Namikaze Minato, who had prepared a long time ago, handed Yongza a document. Because it is Mr. 3's voluntary abdication this time, the situation is different from when 3 took over Hokage before. "I am afraid that you cannot be directly appointed as the captain," Namikaze Minato said apologetically. Originally, he planned to let Yongza be the captain directly, and then he would be promoted to the vice captain and the chief captain after making meritorious service. But the situation is a little more complicated than he imagined, and the power of his Hokage is not as great as he imagined. Yongza flipped through the information Minato gave him, and frowned. This is a piece of information about the 3rd generation helped the 4th generation to establish a new Umbu. That is to say, the 3rd generation did not hand over the command of Umbu to Minato, but helped Minato to establish a new Umbu. Nages had to express his admiration for Sarutobi Hiruzen. Because this seems unreasonable, but it actually complies with Konoha's rules. Umbu is an extremely special department. It is directly under Hokage and does not obey orders from any other department. But because Umbu was established by the 2nd generation, and when the 3rd generation succeeded the 2nd generation because the 2nd generation died in battle, the 3rd generation inherited Umbu logically. But now the 3rd generation is not dead, theoretically he still has control over Umbu. After taking office as Hokage, he is still Hokage. The 3rd generation will send a deputy captain, and 2 Umbu ninja teams to help Minato build a new 4th Umbu. Help in the construction? I think it's more like taking you off the ground. Yongza threw the information on the table and mocked. 1 Umbu team has 17 people, and 2 teams have 34 people, and Minato's new Umbu team will not be able to recruit many people for a while, and basically most of the positions will be taken by Ambi ninjas who come to help. After all, I'm still too young, it's normal for the 3 generations to be worried. Minato was quite optimistic. Became the shadow of the village in his early 20s, not because of accidents, this is really the first time in the ninja world. In this case, let me start with the most common members of Umbu, so as not to spread the news of 4th generation nepotism. Nagasawa laughed. He is sure that as long as he dares to be the captain directly, Danzo will not miss this opportunity. Because Yongza is an ordinary chunin with no dazzling record. Now there are still many people in the village who have objections to Minato as Hokage, thinking that he is too young to take on such a heavy responsibility. If there is any news that an ordinary Chunin will be the leader of the Dark Army, it will be a bit bad. Minato thought for a while, then shook his head and said, "In this case, you should start as the monitor first, I can still make the decision." Yongza was not hypocritical, and nodded in agreement. Anbi's squad is a 4-person system, with only 3 subordinates. Namikaze Minato took out a piece of paper from the drawer, and handed it to Yongza after finishing writing. "This is your letter of appointment, you can go directly to Umbu to get your equipment later. But you may have to wait a while to summon your subordinates, because all I arrange for you are new members." Nages nodded, obviously Minato was thinking of him. If you give him 3 old Umbu from the 3rd generation, although they have strong working ability, they cannot be cultivated into confidants, and they may not even be able to command them. After arranging these things, Minato breathed a sigh of relief, and finally brought Yongza, a salted fish, on the right track. Minato smiled and said, "I just have a mission here. Do you want to take it? It's a small mission for you." Yongza raised his eyebrows. "It seems that I will not have an easy life in the future. The task has come before I have taken office." Minato explained, "I originally planned to hand over this task to Kakashi. But Kakashi is one of the 3 members I chose for you, so I just want you to do this task together and get acquainted." As soon as Minato finished speaking, there was a knock on the door. Then a white-haired boy with a mask walks in. "Master Fourth, do you have any mission?" Kakashi asked. Minato smiled warmly, "You don't need to do this, just call me like before." Kakashi hesitated for a moment, then nodded, "Yes, Minato-sensei. I need you in Nagasawa to fetch me some relevant information about the peace treaty. Iwahiro has already sent the information to the border of Fire Nation, just go and get it." Minato said the task. Although Kakashi was a little puzzled, he still nodded his head, indicating that there is no problem. This kind of task of obtaining information should be more suitable for one person to do. And why should Fujiwara-senpai be with him? If he remembers correctly, Fujiwara-senpai is still a Chunin, even they took the same Chunin exam, but he was promoted, and Nagasawa failed. The two walked out of the Hokage building together, and the atmosphere was somewhat silent. Kakashi squeezed his right hand from time to time, a look of grief flashed across his face. "Did your right hand seal something like Hei Yanlong, which made you suffer so much?" Yongzei complained. Kakashi was stunned, and warned himself in his heart, "Kakashi, this is a task, you can't do this again." He took a deep breath and said, "Senior Fujiwara, I'm sorry, I will carry out the mission seriously next time." "One more thing," Yongza pointed to the back and said, "Is that watermelon-headed boy in a green tights following behind your friend?" At this time, the two had already walked out of the village for some distance. Kakashi froze again, then nodded. He was very annoyed by his state, which was so bad that even Kai didn't notice it when he was following him. "Sorry, I'm going to talk to that idiot." Kakashi finished speaking and straightened his forehead, revealing the covered Sharingan. "Track the ninja out of the mission, this is an act of espionage." Under the powerful insight of Sharingan, Kakashi quickly found Might Kai hiding in the tree. Kakashi jumped onto the tree, looked at Might Kai speechlessly and said, "Kai, why are you following me? I'm on a mission." Might Kai said honestly, "I saw you lost your mind on the road, and I was a little worried, so I followed." Kakashi was silent, feeling a little touched in his heart. "It's just a task to get information. You won't encounter a battle, so you can go back without worry," Kakashi said. But Meitikai was still a little worried. "Senior Fujiwara is still here, so don't worry," Kakashi said with a guilty look on his face. Although he doesn't think Yongza has the strength to protect him, but in order to let Kai go back, he had to say something against his will. End of this chapter. Night of the Nine Tails, I Punched the Tailed Beast Ball Chapter 4, Bitterness is Nothing But Delicious Food. Chapter 4 Kumar is Nothing But Delicious Food. It's really a good flag. Yongza shook his head. Kakashi is still a little naive now, if it is true that he just takes the information normally, why would he use Kakashi as a Jonin, and just send a Chunin at will? Not all forces want peace. Some organizations that make money from wars don't want to end the war so quickly, and even some ninja villages don't want to end the war. If they want to break the blockade of the 5 great ninja villages, peace is impossible. So as long as there is a chance to make trouble, they must make trouble. Although Yongza feels that even if the data is robbed, it is impossible to destroy the peace contract between Konoha and Iwayne, this is the general trend. But as long as there is such a probability, those people will not let it go. Under Kakashi's persuasion, Meitikai walked away step by step. The two started on their way again. On the way, Yongza reminded, Kakashi, you'd better be careful, you may encounter enemies in this mission. Kakashi nodded, but he didn't think so in his heart. In terms of experience in performing missions, he has more experience than the senior Nagasawa. Moreover, Nagasawa's reminder made Kakashi think of Lin again. In the past, Lin always reminded him so gently not to be careless. When he thought of Lin, Kakashi felt as if his right hand was still covered with Lin's blood, which was a sin that couldn't be washed away. Kakashi once again fell into the mood of self-blame. Seeing Kakashi like this, Nagasawa stopped talking and hurried on his way silently. He understood that such empty talk cannot make Kakashi wake up, only by making him fall down. Under the high mobility of the ninja, the two quickly arrived at the agreed place and got the information in their hands. And Yongza also became serious, showing his domineering aura with all his strength. The way back is the most likely to be ambushed. The enemy doesn't even need to kill people, just destroy the data. Not long after leaving the border, Yongza sensed 4 ninjas wearing black clothes and masks lurking in the forest with transformation techniques. But after sensing their aura with knowledge, Yongza relaxed a little bit, probably 3 ordinary chunin and 1 special jonin. However, Nagasawa did not remind Kakashi, but continued to follow him, preparing to see how Kakashi would respond. Kakashi, who was running in the forest, suddenly felt a chill, and stopped suddenly. Phew! A kunai passed Kakashi's face in an instant and sank into the tree. At this moment, Kakashi suddenly realized that there were 4 enemies dressed in black around him. Kakashi immediately straightened the forehead, revealing the Sharingan inside, and then immediately formed a seal and cast Chidori. Zzz. Powerful blue lightning flashed and danced in Kakashi's hand. No nonsense, Kakashi took advantage of Chidori's super high moving speed, and rushed towards the 2 closest to him in an instant, planning to get rid of them first. Looking at Kakashi's performance, Nagasawa can only say that a genius is a genius. Just when Nagasawa thought Kakashi was going to split the 2 of them, suddenly, the lightning in Kakashi's hand disappeared, and a trace of inexplicable sadness appeared on Kakashi's face. Lin's figure appeared in his eyes again, and the scene seemed to return to that evil day, and the black-clothed ninja's figure overlapped with Lin's. Although the ninja in black didn't understand why Kakashi stopped suddenly, he would not let go of such a good opportunity to attack. Chakra exploded in his hand, and Kakashi was sent flying with a punch. Plop! Kakashi fell to the ground hard, with red blood dripping from the corner of his mouth. The huge pain from his body made Kakashi wake up, and at the same time, he felt a little desperate. He has been injured, there are 4 enemies, and one of them is not weak, and his teammate is just an ordinary chunin. That's fine, anyway, people like me don't deserve to live, Lin still has a Beto, and I'm coming to accompany you too. Kakashi thought to himself. Seeing this scene, Yongza couldn't help covering his face with his hands. The slap in the face was too fast. Could it be that Kakashi heard his inner voice and deliberately angered him? The black-clothed ninjas heaved a sigh of relief, feeling that the task had been completed, but Kakashi's aura just now had startled them. As for Nagasawa behind Kakashi, they didn't pay much attention to it. The main characters have all been solved, but it's not easy for one subordinate to solve it. It's really underestimated. Nagasawa squeezed his fist and smiled as he saw Kakashi looking ready to lead him to death, and the black-clothed ninja looking like he had completed the task. He was worried that there would be no ninja to give him a taste of domineering. Go! The leading ninja in black ordered coldly. In an instant, the chakra on the feet of the 3 ninjas in black exploded and rushed towards Kakashi, while the remaining ninja in black rushed towards Nagasawa. Yongza glanced at the 4 of them indifferently, and then released his domineering arrogance. The powerful aura instantly stopped the movements of the 4 black-clothed ninjas, and they looked at Yongza in shock. How is it possible, with such an aura? A black-clothed ninja tried his best to unleash ninjutsu with seals, but found that he couldn't even move his fingers. Only the black-clothed ninja who was a special Chunin could barely move. He looked at Yongza vigilantly and kept retreating. Kakashi lying on the ground also looked at Nagasawa in shock, as if he had seen a ghost. Although Nagasawa didn't release it against him, it was the escaping breath that made Kakashi feel terrified and gave him a lot of psychological pressure. It's already here, so don't rush to leave, but you don't have any good things with you, so I can only treat you to fists. Looking at the black-clothed ninja who was preparing to yo-yo, Yongza showed a nuclear smile. Yongza strengthened the Overlord color release, and the 3 Chunin were stunned instantly, and fell to the ground limply. The ninja in black at the head was completely panicked, and couldn't control anything else, so he ran away. Whoosh! Whoosh! The black-clothed ninja used the teleportation technique to fly across the tree quickly. At this time, he wished he could grow 2 more legs. He has never seen such a terrifying strongman in his life, who can defeat 3 Chunin in an instant by virtue of his momentum. The leader of their grass ninja village also gave him a strong feeling, but compared with this kind of strength, it seems to be ineffective. Even a ninja who collects information is so strong. Does Chao Ninja Village really have a chance to catch up with the 5 villages? At this time, the ninja in black is a little disheartened. After running for a while, he didn't feel any movement of chasing him. Jamin Kusanagi was a little puzzled, so he couldn't help but look back. Yongza in the distance had no intention of chasing after him, but just raised his fist emitting a white halo, and swung it towards him vigorously. Kusanagi Kamaju laughed. From such a distance, could the fist still hit him? If this can hit him, he ate all the kunai in the ninja bag on the spot. But he immediately noticed that something was wrong, why there were crackling sounds all around, and it seemed that the wind was blowing. Newbie looking for recommendation. End of this chapter. Night of the Nine Tails, I Punched the Tailed Beast Ball Chapter 5, It is an embarrassing thing to be overtaken by juniors. Chapter 5 It is an embarrassing thing to be overtaken by juniors. Looking at the black-clothed ninja who was desperately trying to escape, Yongza didn't chase after him, but just raised his right arm and activated the ability of the shaking fruit. Air shock. Click. Snap. Under the effect of the shaking fruit ability, a crack appeared in the air like a mirror that was about to break. Boom. Hurrah. This huge shock set off a super strong wind, and the strong wind blows up large trees and overturns pieces of soil. The escaped ninja in black was completely shocked by this scene. He couldn't understand what a terrifying power this was. The fist wind created by one punch can be so powerful. Is this really the power that a ninja can have? Can a ninja's body art really be so powerful? Seeing that there was no hope of escape, the black-clothed ninja completely gave up resistance, lost the light in his eyes, and muttered to himself on the spot, allowing his body to be torn apart by the strong wind. Looking at the messy scene in front of him, Yongza also felt a little headache because of his destructive power. Fortunately, it was outside the village, and it would be a big loss if it was inside the village. He used a cannon to fight mosquitoes. In order to kill a special jonin, he destroyed a small half of the forest. But looking at Kakashi who looked shocked and broken, Nagasawa thought it was worth it. Kakashi is Minato's appointed subordinate, and he is also a genius who was promoted to jonin at the age of 12. There was an embarrassing situation between the two of them who participated in the same Chunin exam. Kakashi advanced, and Nagasawa failed. So in order to calm down Kakashi, although Nagasawa can catch up with the death shot directly with the instant body technique, he chose to use the shaking fruit ability to create a big scene. Moreover, it also makes Kakashi, a high-cold boy, suspicious of life, which makes him feel quite interesting. Kakashi's eyes widened, he didn't care about the weeds and dust on his body, stood up, looked at Nagasawa dumbfounded, and couldn't help feeling a little ashamed when he thought of his previous thoughts. Fujiwara-senpai, you. A series of emotions such as embarrassment, shock, shame, curiosity, etc. made Kakashi a little incoherent, and even stuttered. Yongza calmly said, "Why are you so surprised? The strength of ordinary Chunin is almost meaningless compared to Konoha Shinin. In the later period, Kanehashida Shinobi fought like a catastrophe, and his hand can only be said to be trivial. Ordinary Chunin." Kakashi was speechless. "You told him that this is an ordinary Chunin? Who the is a Chunin who destroyed half of the forest with one punch, as if he had never been a Chunin?" Kakashi. Nagasawa's voice suddenly became serious. "Although what happened to you is indeed sad, but as a ninja, since you have accepted the task, you must be serious. It is self-inflicted to die, but killing teammates or even failing the mission is an undeserved loss." Hearing Nagasawa's words, Kakashi felt ashamed. First he was followed by Kai and didn't find it, then he was arrogant and didn't take Yongza's reminder to heart, and finally he was injured because of distraction during the battle. It's so bad that it couldn't be worse. If Yongze was really an ordinary Chunin, the bodies of both of them would be cold by now. "Senior Fujiwara, I'm sorry." Kakashi lowered his head and apologized to Nagasawa. "Speak up, I want to be a ninja with such a low voice." "Senior Fujiwara, I'm sorry." Kakashi shouted. Yongza nodded in satisfaction, and continued, "Do you know how good Minato treats you, and how high is expected of you? I shouldn't have told you, but your performance really disappointed me. The reason why Minato asked me to do missions with you is because you will soon join Shinanbu and become my subordinate." Kakashi was silent. In what Nagasawa said, he could clearly feel Minato's expectations for him. In order for a hidden superpower like Nagasawa to take him, it must be very difficult for Minato-sensei. But he failed to live up to this expectation, and his performance was so poor, would he still be willing to take him? "Although your performance is so poor, considering your status as the son of White Fang in Minato's face, I decided to give you another chance." Yongza changed his voice. "I will give you a body technique. If you can learn it within a week, then I will take you as usual. If you don't learn it, it will be useless to anyone." After finishing speaking, Nagasawa threw a scroll to Kakashi. It records the practice method of shaving, one of the 6 styles. With Whitebeard's physical skills background, coupled with his knowledge of the principles of the 6 forms, he quickly created some of the simpler 6 forms, and initially incorporated the use of chakra. For example, when using the shaving technique, you can follow the chakra on the explosive feet, which can reduce the physical requirements and increase the speed. The reason why he created the 6 styles is also to build the new Umbu. If all the ninjas in the new Umbu know the 6 styles, the combat effectiveness will definitely be greatly improved. As Umbu's strength increases, Konoha's prosperity will increase, and he will also become stronger. Taijutsu. Kakashi took the scroll, opened it curiously, and found that it was different from the taijutsu he had learned before. The physical skills he learns are mainly based on chakra, and the physical skills on the scroll seem to require quite high physical exercise. Placing the scroll away, Kakashi said seriously, "I will finish it." Now he also thinks clearly, the dead are irretrievable, and the living should be cherished even more. He can't live up to the expectations of Minato-sensei. Looking at Kakashi, who seemed to be on fire, Nagasawa nodded secretly. This is his real purpose of doing this. He didn't expect Kakashi to be in a state of, "Lin, ah, my Lin, and, I'm sorry for being a human," all day long. Anyway, this will have to be taught sooner or later, why not use it as a test to stimulate a wave of Kakashi? Even if Kakashi can't practice at that time, he can make up for it. The points in the system can be used for many purposes, not only to improve template integration, but also to directly strengthen various abilities of oneself, which is commonly known as adding points, and can also add points to others, but only for Konoha. However, if Kakashi fails to learn him, he will be a little disappointed. After all, Kakashi became a jonin at the age of 12. Nagasawa still looks forward to his talent. And shaving is relatively simple among the 6 styles. What should they do? Kakashi pointed to the 3 people who were stunned by Nagasawa's overlord color. Because of Nagasawa's display of strength, coupled with the arrangement of Minato, Kakashi has already downgraded his status at this time, and Nagasawa is the main one. Yongza said lightly, "Take it back and hand it over to those in the torture department. If you dare to intercept Konoha ninja, you will have to pay a price. Although Konoha suffered heavy losses in the war, it was still the #1 ninja village in the past, and the emaciated camel was bigger than the horse. If it is found out which faction did it, unless it is the same level of the 5 great ninja villages, otherwise it is enough for them to send a team of senior ninjas to assassinate them. End of this chapter. Night of the Nine Tails, I Punch the Tailed Beast Ball Chapter 6, Jumping Too High is Easy to Get Beaten. Chapter 6 Jumping Too High is Easy to Get Beaten. Konoha Hospital. Kakashi sat on the hospital bed, feeling a little anxious. After completing the task, he came directly to Konoha Hospital for treatment because he was injured. Unexpectedly, the injury was a little more serious than he thought, and he needed to recuperate for a day after receiving treatment. It doesn't matter if Kakashi is normal, but he has made an agreement with Yongza. Chichen will learn the physical technique that Yongza gave him. That taijutsu was not in the same system as what he had learned before. If he didn't learn it because of this practice for a day, Kakashi really didn't know what to do. Just when Kakashi was thinking about whether to sneak off to practice martial arts, a yellow figure walked into the ward. Minato put the fruit he bought along the way on the table, and smiled gently. "Are you all right?" Kakashi nodded. "It's no big problem. If the doctor didn't say it's best to rest for a day, I can go straight away. I'm going to let you join Anbi." Walking to the window of the ward, looking at the scenery outside the window, Minato told his arrangement for Kakashi. The autumn wind blows, blowing the curtains glistening in the autumn sun. Kakashi showed gratitude, and said sincerely, "Thank you." He is very grateful to Yongza for telling him the truth, otherwise he would not know how much Mr. Minato cares about him. Looking at Kakashi who was no longer immersed in the sad world, Minato didn't know what happened, but still smiled with relief. "It seems that you and Yongza get along very well in this mission." "Yes." Kakashi nodded. "Senior Fujiwara is a very good senior. This way I can rest assured," Minato said with satisfaction. He is also afraid that Kakashi will have some unpleasant things with Nagasawa if he assumes the identity of Jonin. It seems that he is thinking too much. On the 4th day after completing the task of escorting peace materials, Yongza came to Anbi. Today is the day when the new Umbu gathers. Since the new Umbu is an initial creation, according to the proposal of the 3rd generation, before there is no new base, the old and new Umbu can temporarily share a base. After receiving all the equipment from Umbu, Yongza first went to the lobby to listen to Minato's speech, then reported with the team leader and sub-team leader, and finally went to his own Umbu class. They are number 7 Umbu class, which is the 7th Umbu class. When Yongza arrived, he found that there were already 3 people on the field, that is, he was the last one to arrive. The 3 people on the field have already put on Umbu's uniform and Umbu's mask, so they can't see their faces clearly. Yongza took a look, and found that these 3 subordinates did not look like ordinary ninjas, and all of them seemed to possess unique skills. The gray-haired young Kakashi folded his arms, looking like a cold boy. A thinker with a high ponytail, leaning against a wall and bowing his head in thought. The last person wearing a dog face mask is actually licking the ninja dog. "Take off your masks and introduce yourself, and tell me something you are good at," Yongza said, and took off his tiger-striped mask after speaking. Kakashi was the first to speak. Kakashi Hatake is good at lightning escape and swordsmanship. Then a little taller than Kakashi, the boy with a high ponytail took off his mask and said, "Nara Saltwater, good at shadow mysteries." Nagasawa is interested. Minato is awesome, he actually found him a member of the Nara clan. The last person also surprised Yongza. She was actually a girl, quite cute, but there are too few female ninjas in Umbu. Inuzuka Green, likes ninja dogs and cooking, hates rigidity, and is good at tracking and physical arts. Inuzuka Midori, who just walked the dog in front of his boss, introduced himself without any guilt, and even said a little more. Seeing everyone finished speaking, Yongza said, "Fujiwara Nagasawa is good at physical arts, you can call me either Fujiwara or Yongza, but in the mission, you have to call me Zhen, this is my code name. You can also give yourself a code name, of course you don't have to, it's even better." Kakashi thought for a while, and said, "Then my code name is Kaka." Yongza is speechless. Is this too lazy to think about it? It is no different from not having a replacement number. Nara Saltwater said, dear. Inuzuka Midori thought for a while, looked at his Haimaru, and said in a flash of inspiration, let's call it a dog. Cat, dear, dog, very good. We will use code names to call each other in future missions. In order to fully understand your abilities, I will fight with you next. Yongza nodded. He didn't want to play like a pig and eat a tiger in front of his subordinates. You have the strength to hide it, and others don't know your true strength, how can they think highly of you? Hearing this, Kakashi's hand holding the mask trembled. He thought of Nagasawa's terrifying aura, and the punch that destroyed half of the forest. This is not to understand their abilities, but to beat Li Wei. After all, apart from him, the other two don't know Yongza's strength at all, and they are from the ninja family. If Yongza wants to be strong, he has to show his strength. It's just that he is miserable, and he will be beaten up. Are you fighting? A thoughtful look flashed across Nara Saltwater's face. After learning that he was going to enter Anbi, he was actually quite surprised. He was even more surprised when he learned that it was the fourth generation who came to discuss with the Nara Patriarch in person. When he saw Kakashi, he thought Kakashi was the squad leader. After all, Kakashi was a disciple of the fourth generation. As a result, the squad leader turned out to be a young ninja that he had no impression of, which surprised him. Kakashi is an ordinary member, shouldn't the monitor be some famous ninja? But since Yongza is the squad leader, Yen believes that he must be capable, otherwise, why would the fourth generation go to Nara to ask for someone? Isn't this Anbi? Why do I have the deja vu feeling of grabbing the bell after graduating from ninja school? Midori Inuzuka touched Haimaru who had been rubbing against her leg, and complained. Yongza glanced at her, girl, you are dancing. Yongza said lightly, I don't have a bell for you to snatch, but the purpose is somewhat the same, and it's all to understand your specific situation. Kakashi looked at Inuzuka Midori with some pity. Good guy, is it because he is afraid that he will not be light enough when he is beaten later? Kakashi only hoped that Nagasawa would have a stronger control over power, so as not to beat people to death. Come with me, go to the village training ground to play, it is easy to break things here. Yongzei said. Kakashi put on the mask and followed Nagasawa's pace, still thinking about the practice of shaving. Saltwater followed closely behind, thinking about the tactics to wait while walking. Inuzuka Midori is good at physical arts, he can go forward to fight, and then I will take the opportunity to control it with shadow imitation, and finally let Kakashi use lightning attack. Let's go to fight. Inuzuka Midori hummed an unknown tune, and Xiaotiao followed. Thanks to Mumu La 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 for the 2 monthly tickets. Thanks to a particularly clever pig for 2 monthly passes. Thank you 2 big guys for voting monthly so quickly. End of this chapter. Night of the Nine Tails, I Punched the Tailed Beast Ball Chapter 7, Teammates Are Neat. Chapter 7 Teammates Need to be Tidy. After arriving at the number 16 training ground, Yongza looked at the 3 of them and said relaxedly. Let's go together, use all your abilities, and don't be afraid of hurting me, because it is impossible. Hearing this, Saltwater couldn't help frowning. Yongza was too crazy, and actually said that the 3 of them couldn't hurt him even if they tried their best. Kakashi is a jonin, and Saltwater feels that although he is not strong enough, he is definitely considered a jonin in terms of practical effect. And Inuzuka Midori is also a family ninja, since he is on a team with them, his strength cannot be too bad. Facing such a lineup, even the elite of the ninja can't say that they can defeat the 3 together without any loss. You know, the 3 of them are either genius chunin, or secret ninjas with unique skills. Unless it is a shadow like the 3rd generation and the 4th generation, then it will not be hurt, and it is like playing to kill the 3 easily. Shueyen doesn't think the young Nagasawa has this strength. Although the 4th generation is also at this age, Konoha only has 1 4th generation. LV Inuzuka seemed to be stimulated too, gearing up, looking like she was ready to fight. She was not the little girl who snatched the bell back then. Only Kakashi seemed to be the same as Chi Xiang, with a bitter face, as if he was not optimistic about the 3 of them. Shueyen quickly entered the role, and quickly said, Inuzuka, you have strong physical skills and go up to fight first, and Hataki, prepare for the lightning attack. Tooth through teeth. Inazuka Midori and Inazuka Midori entered a high-speed rotation together with Inazuka Midori's Haimaru, and soon formed two powerful tornadoes, attacking Nagasawa. Two swirling winds just passed by, crushing the grass along the road, and a lot of soil was also swept away, leaving two traces that seemed to have been plowed. However, in the face of such an attack, Yongzei stood motionless as if he didn't even bother to hide. This action also attracted the attention of Saltwater. Facing such a powerful attack, wouldn't it be hard to resist if he didn't hide? Saltwater stared at Yongza closely, always ready to cast shadow imitation technique to fix Yongza. But even if Inazuka Midori's attack was only 1 meter away from Nagasawa, Nagasawa didn't seem to have any thought of moving, his legs didn't move, and he didn't use ninjutsu and the seal, but raised his fist. Yongza mobilized the power of the shaking fruit, his fist exuded a white halo, and hit the two whirlwinds. Boom! Hurrah! The collision of the two forces instantly caused an explosion, and the green grass on the ground was bent by waves of turbulent flow. Click! Click! Suddenly, there was a sound like a broken mirror. Looking at the salt water, terrible cracks appeared on the two whirlwinds, as if they were about to burst. Boom boom boom. 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 A huge explosion sounded, and the two whirlwinds burst directly and dissipated into the air. And Inazuka Midori and Haimaru also seemed to have received a terrifying blow, and flew back directly, and fell hard to the ground, even leaving a not-so-shallow scratch on the ground where their bodies scratched. Kakashi frowned when he saw this scene. It hurts to watch. Hatake attacked quickly. Saltwater shouted quickly. Kakashi looked. It turned out that it was just when the explosion sounded, under the cover of the dust flying in the sky, the salt water directly controlled Yongza with the shadow imitation technique. Quick! I can't hold on for long. Sweat beads appeared on the forehead of the salt water, and shouted again. This is the first time he has been so tired with shadow imitation, and it feels as if what is trapped is not a person, but some terrifying prehistoric beast. However, what he didn't know was that it was because Yongza was afraid of hurting him, so he deliberately restrained his strength to let him control it. Otherwise, with his strength, if he uses the shadow imitation technique to control Yongza, he will be counterattacked by the shadow imitation technique in an instant and be seriously injured, because the power gap between the two sides is too great. Whitebeard's power is terrifying. In a state of old age, serious illness and injury, he stopped a big ship abruptly by his own strength. Even if there is no Jinjin fruit, Whitebeard will still be the top powerhouse. Kakashi gritted his lower teeth, the chakra in his body moved up, and a large amount of lightning chakra gathered in his hands. ZZZ. The blue lightning flashing on the palm makes it look like a blue lightning blade. The powerful lightning chakra stimulated physical activity. Kakashi's speed increased sharply, and he ran towards Yongza in a straight line. Facing Kakashi who was rushing towards him, Nagasawa seemed to be controlled by the shadow imitation technique, and kept motionless on the spot like salt water. Kakashi's movements were quick, and he reached Yongza almost instantly. Kakashi's Sharingan could even clearly see the hairs on Yongza's body. Kakashi hesitated for a second at this moment. Chidori's power is very great. If Nagasawa is really controlled and has no defense at all, Chidori may be directly penetrated. His Chidori is powerful because it can change both nature and shape, and has super penetrating ability. The only shortcoming is that the attack speed is too fast, which makes it easy to lose sight of the opponent and make mistakes. Now this only shortcoming is also made up for by Sharingan. Kakashi, you who have seen my power are still hesitating. Are you looking down on me? Yongzei shouted. Kakashi discovered that now, Nagasawa's whole body was covered with a layer of black substance, as if he was an Iron Man. This time Kakashi didn't hesitate, and directly stabbed Nagasawa's chest with his right hand, which was beating with blue lightning. ZZZ. Powerful blue lightning raged on Yongza, turning Yongza into a little blue man. But there was no trace of thunder and lightning that broke through the armed domineering defense, and really attacked Yongza. Kakashi just felt as if he was stabbing a piece of extremely hard iron. No matter how strong his lightning penetration was, he couldn't penetrate it. Instead, it was his hand, which ached from the reaction force. Seeing this scene, Selim was also dumbfounded. Thunder Dun has always been known for its powerful and high attack power, but Kakashi's Thunder Dun, at a glance, knows that it is a powerful high-level Thunder Dun. But such an attack hit a person controlled by him with the shadow imitation technique, but nothing happened, and the defense was not broken directly. Saltwater is autistic, it's not scientific, it's not ninja, it's different from what he learned in a ninja school, and it's different from the elders in the clan. It feels almost the same. Yongza is not deliberately restraining his strength, and instantly breaks the shadow imitation technique. Selene's body shook slightly, and a stream of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Whoosh! Kakashi only felt a blur in front of his eyes, and Nagasawa in front of him disappeared instantly, and at the same time, a powerful force came from behind him. Kakashi was instantly punched by Nagasawa so that he flew out, and lay beside Inuzuka Midori. Seeing this scene, Saltwater felt a little bad in his heart, and quickly wanted to admit defeat. Before he finished speaking, he was kicked away by Nagasawa, who came over, and went with Kakashi and the others. Yongza clapped his hands, feeling very satisfied. They are all teammates, they just need to lie down neatly together. End of this chapter. Night of the Nine Tails, I Punched the Tailed Beast Ball. Chapter 8, Want to Learn, Let Me Teach You. Chapter 8. Do you want to learn? Let me teach you. Midori Inuzuka shook his little head twice, looked around in confusion, feeling a little confused, not knowing what happened. When she used Yatanjia to attack Yongza, she only felt a strong vibration that made her brain buzz, and then passed out. Why did you fall to the ground? Looking at the two lying on the ground next to him, Inuzuka Midori rubbed his still dizzy head and asked curiously. How you lie on the ground is how we lie on the ground. Saltwater said angrily, with a bad expression on his face. The development of things is always so unsatisfactory. He thought it was impossible for Yongza to be that strong, and Yongza told him with his fist, hey, it really is. So the brain is a bit self-contained now. He couldn't figure out why such a young and strong man would remain unknown. You know, in the past 2 years, Konoha and the other 4 major ninja villages were almost out of their minds, and it can be said that they played all their cards. If there is a strong man like Yongza, it is impossible to hide it. But he is sure that there has never been a strong man named Yongza on the battlefield. A strong man like Yongza with a distinctive style, once he makes a move, he will definitely become famous, and even be given a title. Kakashi showed a thoughtful expression, just behind Nagasawa, who arrived instantly. It seems that he used the body technique called shaving. Yongza walked up to the 3 of them and said, very good, now I have a clearer understanding of you. Saltwater was speechless. Where did they get the cognition? Didn't they just punch one person, and they fell down? And you should have a certain understanding of me and my general strength. Yongza continued. Squad leader Nagasawa, you are really strong. This is the first time that my teeth have been broken up by violence like this. Midori Inuzuka touched his dizzy little head and said quite seriously. She has a very strong physique, but she suffered so badly after being hit. One can imagine Yongza's strength. Besides, she is the strongest among the 3, but she is the worst. Inuzuka Midori suspects that Nagasawa is deliberately cruel because of her previous behavior. It's really stingy, it's better not to mess with him in the future. Inuzuka Midori thought to himself. Even Selene, who thought Nagasawa was arrogant before, agrees with Midori Inuzuka that Nagasawa is really strong. Not to mention Kakashi, he has seen the scene of Yongza making a move a long time ago, and today he feels that this is the result of Yongza letting go of the sea. Looking at the 3 people who were sincerely convinced, Yongza felt that his efforts were not in vain, and smiled. Want to learn? I will teach you. After speaking, Yongza used the armed color domineering to dye the entire right hand black. Raising his right hand, which resembled a steel arm, Yongza said, that's it, do you want to learn it? Think about it, really think about it, this is so handsome. Inuzuka Midori's eyes twinkled with little stars, and she looked at Nagasawa with admiration. She really thinks this is very handsome. It would be even better if Haimaru can also learn it. Thinking about the steel version of Haimaru, Inuzuka Midori feels so excited. This must be some kind of secret technique. Is it okay to pass it on directly? Saltwater said calmly at the moment. Actually, at first he thought it was some kind of blood succession limit, such as Tai Dun or something. He has seen this powerful before. He resisted Kakashi's high-level Thunder Dun without even leaving a mark. Yongza smiled, and said, if it's a secret technique, it can barely be counted, but this is my own secret technique, and I can teach it as I want. I call this secret technique armed color domineering. As you can see, it can cover the body, greatly improving the body's defense. However, Yongza punched violently, and his hardened fist hit the ground of the training ground directly. Boom! A loud explosion caused a huge cloud of dust. The dust and mist dissipated, and the three of them looked, and saw a 3-meter-wide pit directly appearing on the original intact ground, and many cracks appeared in the surrounding land. The improvement is not only the defense, but also the attack power. Yongzei Yuyu said. Kakashi swallowed his saliva. His Chidori already had high attack power. If coupled with this armed domineering, wouldn't it take off directly? Who can hold it? Saltwater's eyes are also a little eager. Although Nara's family's secret technique is very good, it seems that Yongza's is also very good. However, Yongza did not end, and continued, actually, this is just the hardening of the armed color. There are other uses, and it can be wound or released. After speaking, he took out a handful of kunai from the ninja bag, held it in his hand and covered it with the armor color. The effect of strengthening is also applicable to weapons. Nagasawa praised kunai who was covered in armed colors. When Nagasawa said that, Kakashi thought of his broken white fanged short blade. If he had armed domineering, would it still break? Looking at the three men who were almost drooling, all seduced by him, Yongza smiled, this is nothing, it's not over yet. Yongza closed his eyes and said, in addition to the armed domineering, there is another kind of domineering power. As for the effect, you can try to attack me. The three of them looked at each other, as if confirming something, and then rushed out together, attacking Yongzei. Now, the three of them clearly knew that Yongza's strength was not at the same level as theirs, so they didn't hold back, and chose the attack method that was careful and best at. Haimaru, bite him. Inuzuka Midori rushed from the side of Nagasawa while commanding his ninja to attack. Wow! Huiwang let out a deep roar, and then jumped directly towards Yongza. Yongza pulled back instantly, then closed his eyes, and said relaxedly, swoop is easy to attack the abdomen. Immediately afterwards, he spun again, avoiding Inuzuka Midori's attack from the side. It's a good idea to attack from the side, but the speed is too slow. Shadow stitching. Seeing Inuzuka Midori's action, Seiline also took the opportunity to launch a ninjutsu attack. Suddenly, the shadow on the ground transformed into a sharp shape and stabbed at Yongza. Whoosh! Yongza stomped the ground twice, disappeared instantly, and appeared on a stone not far away, avoiding the attack of salt water. Salt water, you always grasp the timing very accurately, but hard power is still not enough. Whoosh! Suddenly, 5 or 6 kunai shot towards Yongza. Yongza twisted a few times, dodged easily, grabbed a handful of kunai, and threw it to the ground. The kunai turned into Kakashi the moment it was hit on the ground. Kakashi, you have a good idea. The shadow clone throws the main body that has become kunai to approach, but unfortunately, it is useless to me. Kakashi, who was sitting on the ground, was shocked. He thought he could give Yongza a surprise, but he didn't expect Yongza to give him a surprise. You need to know this move, you may not be able to see through it with your eyes open, let alone Yongzei still has his eyes closed. This is domineering and knowledgeable. Yongza opened his eyes and looked at the three of them with a smile. Knowledge color domineering can sharpen people's 5 senses, and can make people feel the breath of people around them directly. And you can predict the attack to avoid danger, so no matter where you sneak attack from, I will miss it. Yongza asked again, want to learn? End of this chapter. Night of the Nine Tails, I punched the tailed beast ball. Chapter 9, I don't want to patrol, so I have to do the hardest task. Chapter 9, I don't want to patrol, so I have to do the hardest task. Think. The three said in unison. After Yongza showed such a skill, as long as you are not a fool, you will know that these two kinds of domineering are very strong, and it will be strange if you don't learn it. Armed color domineering can not only strengthen the defense but also increase the attack power, it is born for fighting. Knowledge color domineering can directly feel the breath, and can also predict the attack, which is simply a masterpiece of perceptual ninjutsu. Yongza smiled, "That's good, disband, take a good rest, and do the task tomorrow." Inuzuka stepped down with a green face, became listless, and said, "Squad leader Nagasawa, you are really bad enough, first arouse desire, and then don't care about it." Then knelt down and patted Heiwen's head, "Haimaru, don't become like this in the future, if you become bad, I will beat you hard." Saltwater also woke up from above, comforting himself. Think about it too, how can such a secret technique be taught casually? Kakashi is not as pessimistic as the two of them. Although he doesn't have much contact with Yongza, his recent contact let him know that Yongza is not the kind of person who will aim at nothing. Although the secret technique is precious, it is not impossible to teach it. The body technique called shaving is not a big-ticket thing, and Yongza just gave him the practice method. Yongza smiled and said, "Don't slander me, it's not that I don't teach, but you haven't reached the standard yet. It is not so easy to cultivate domineering, I will arrange training for you, don't think too much." In fact, he has no points. Domineering is the potential of the One Piece world talents, but because of the white beard template, he can also add domineering potential to people. But it's not cheap, one person needs 3,000 points, and all his points are used to increase Whitebeard's fusion degree, which has reached 44% now. However, every week, points will be issued according to the degree of prosperity. He has already received 11,000 points for a week. The increase in the strength of people in the village will also provide points. Although the individual provides very little, it is still considerable when there are more people. Okay. I knew that Nagasawa class leader is definitely a good man in charge. Haimaru, you have to learn from the class leader. When Nagasawa said that he would arrange a training plan, Inuzuka Midori changed instantly. Go, you just called me bad. Yongza said that he is not so easy to fool. Hey. Midori Inuzuka smirked twice, trying to pass the test with cuteness. Yongza didn't bother to argue with a 15-year-old girl, so he left directly after talking about the meeting time. He is going to find Minato to take the task. Umbu is a relatively special department, and the tasks performed are also different from those of ordinary ninjas. Since Umbu is directly led by Hokage, all tasks of Umbu are issued by Hokage. However, of course, ordinary Anbi squads cannot go directly to Hokage to pick up tasks, but the captain picks them up, and then assigns them to various teams and squads. But Minato asked Nagasawa to be the squad leader was just a stopgap measure, so he was given the privilege to go directly to him to receive the task. Since he has the privilege, Yongza will naturally not let it go. He is not familiar with the captain of the Dark Army, so he must have received ordinary patrol missions. If you want to be promoted quickly, you can't do patrol every day, you have to do something. Walking into Hokage's office, Yongza looked at Minato who was struggling on the desk, and said with a smile. "Why do you look so busy, Hokage? Yesterday I heard Kushina complain that you sometimes don't go back at night." Minato scratched his head and said helplessly, "It's true that I'm very busy and I can't help it, after all, after such a big war, the loss of the village is too serious. Mountains of documents are sent to me every day. But I really forgot to take care of Kushina's feelings these days. Fortunately, you, Nagasawa, reminded me." Yongza smiled twice, but didn't care, and told his purpose of coming. When Minato heard what Yongza said, he seemed to have remembered something, picked up a file in the file pile, looked at it, and said. "You came at the right time. I am worried about who will complete this task. If it is you, Yongza, I will feel relieved." Yongza became interested, it sounded like a difficult high-level task, and asked, "What task? Do you still remember the 3 ninjas you and Kakashi brought back a few days ago?" Minato asked. Yongza nodded, he didn't have dementia, how could he forget what happened a few days ago? The torture department deciphered their memories, it is the Umbu of Kusanagi village. Minato continued. "Grass ninja, they really dare, so the task is to assassinate their top management." Yongza was a little excited. Integrated with the Whitebeard template, he has not fought against any masters yet. Although Chaoren village is a small ninja village, it is a strong one in the small ninja village, and there are even a certain number of ninja in the village. So the leader of Kusanagi village will definitely not be weak, and should have the strength to surpass the elite jonin. Only by fighting with masters can he know where his strength lies. Now he only knows that he should be considered a strong one among the movie ranks, but he has no idea how strong he is. Minato shook his head and said, "If only it were that simple, things are a little more complicated than you think." Minato explained, "Because this is a dispute between countries, I held a meeting with the elders and consultants to discuss it. My idea is to send strong people to deter and then demand compensation. But the third generation feels that something is wrong. He thinks that he has just negotiated peace with Iwagakushi-sane, and it is not appropriate to go to war again. Moreover, Kusanagi is still an ally of Konoha, so he should not intimidate the ally, and the two sides should have a good talk." Elder Shimura felt that it wasn't enough. He should directly send ninja troops to kill Kusanagi and teach Kusanagi a lesson. Nagasawa was directly amused by Minato's words, heard the helplessness in Minato's words, and joked. "You Hokage, no one really listens to you. After all, I'm still too young and inexperienced." Minato didn't know whether he was ironic about the third-generation Danzo, or said with self-mockery. "So whose suggestion was used?" Yongza asked directly. Both advisors Menyen and Kohara supported the proposal of the third generation, and Elder Danzo gave up his proposal and supported me instead. At the end of the fight, a compromise plan was negotiated. Because it is information obtained by deciphering memories, we actually have no concrete evidence to illuminate that they are Kusanagi ninjas. If you get the information of the three people as Kusanagi Umbu, then adopt my proposal to deter and demand compensation, if not, adopt the third generation plan. I set this mission as S-level. Umbu's information has always been the top secret of every village. It is very difficult and dangerous. Yongza, do you want to take this mission? Yongza smiled. S-level, the highest level, of course I have to accept it. Why not? I don't want to be the monitor forever. He wants to reform Umbu. The position of squad leader is not acceptable, at least he must be the biggest captain besides Hokage. After all, increasing Umbu's strength can increase prosperity, which is equivalent to strengthening oneself, so how can one not care about one's own affairs? Minato also smiled and said, "I don't want you to be the squad leader forever." Yongza, but it was hard for him to persuade him to join Umbu, so how can we not let Yongza use his talents to do something big? The two looked at each other and laughed. It's gone in the afternoon, and a chapter was published this morning. With this chapter, there have been 2 updates. Ask for a ticket. End of this chapter. Night of the Nine Tails, I Punched the Tailed Beast Ball Chapter 10, Some Friends Can Be Trusted Forever. Chapter 10 Some Friends Can Be Trusted Forever. After Yongza accepted the task, Minato didn't let Yongza go out to do the task immediately, but asked Yongza to prepare for a few days later. Minato explained, "Although I believe in Nagasawa's ability, you still rarely touch this type of mission after all. In these 3 days, I will give you a lot of information about sneaking in and stealing secrets, and I will also personally tell you some precautions, so you should prepare for the battle." Yongza nodded and agreed. He really hasn't done any high-level missions and lacks experience. He admits this because he is so ordinary. This task is of great importance, not only related to whether Nagasawa can be promoted quickly, but also Minato's debut in front of high-level officials as Hokage. If he fails this time and leads to the implementation of the 3-generation proposal, it will definitely have a negative impact on Minato's personal prestige. Some people may think that although Minato has strong personal strength, he is not suitable to become Hokage. So Yongza thinks it's nothing. For such a big event, it's better to be careful and make more preparations. And staying for 3 more days, he can just go to check whether Kakashi has learned to shave. It can also be called saltwater and Inuzuka Midori to make preparations in advance. After all, this is a transnational mission, or stealing confidential documents such as Umbu information. When he walked out of the Hokage building, Yongza realized that it was already noon, so he walked directly towards Konoha Commercial Street, preparing to buy something to eat. He lives alone. Although he can cook, he is too lazy to do the laundry. He usually eats out, and occasionally goes to Minato's house for lounging. The slightly cool autumn wind blows, blowing the withered and yellow leaves into the air, sparkling in the sun. But some people on the street who are still wearing short sleeves don't care about the autumn wind at all, and are still enthusiastically discussing the signing of the contract between Konoha and Iwagakure. Finally, the war is over. I heard that the signing of this contract is all thanks to the third generation. Yes, thanks to the presence of the third generation, Konoha will finally usher in peace again. Unfortunately, the third generation has abdicated. I wonder if the fourth generation can protect Konoha like the third generation. It's hard to say, the fourth generation seems to be only 23 years old this year, it's really too young, it's really worrying. Hearing the voices of these discussions, Yongza shook his head with a smile. The signing of the contract depends on the third generation. You really have the face to say it. If Minato hadn't killed a large number of Iwagakushi Jonin, and then destroyed the opponent's main supply routes, how could Iwagakushi give up so easily? But it's not unreasonable to say that the contract was signed entirely by the third generation, after all, it's that kind of contract. A sneer appeared on Yongza's face. The reason why Iwagakure can accept Konoha's conditions is because the conditions given by Konoha are really good. There is no need to pay compensation for resources. The third generation said that Konoha forgives Iwagakure for invading the country of fire and will not be held accountable. Iwagakure only needs to sign a peace treaty with a truce. Nagasawa could only express his speechlessness. Those who didn't know the conditions would think that Konoha was the one who lost the battle. This means that Konoha was invaded by Iwane, and won the battle, which means that his family has a big business, and he is too lazy to worry about losses. He doesn't want anything, but only hopes for peace. Yen-in, is there such a good thing? Then I will definitely sign it. In fact, Yongza can also understand a little bit of Sandai's thoughts. Maybe he is really tired and doesn't want to fight anymore, and the truce is not without any benefits. But this is not the reason why you take all the credit for yourself. And let Minato be Hokage, and he still holds so many rights and is not willing to let go, euphemistically called, Minato is still young. Yongza shook his head, feeling a little emotional in his heart. It can't be said that Hiruza Sarutobi is stupid or incompetent. If he is really incompetent, he has no way to be buried in the door, and he led Konoha to win the Second Ninja World War when he was ordered in danger, and defended Konoha's #1 ninja, the name of the village. Maybe time really changes everything. Forcing himself not to think about these annoying things, Yongza began to think about what to eat next. As for Ilaka ramen, although it tastes good, I just ate it yesterday, so I don't want to go today. Barbecue is a bit too greasy for lunch. Thinking about it, Yongza found himself walking in front of a dumpling shop without knowing it. Without hesitation, Yongza walked in directly. He hadn't eaten dessert for a long time, and it seemed that it was not impossible to eat dumplings for lunch. Walking into the store, Yongza walked to the boss panel and said familiarly, "Watanabe, same old." Boss Watanabe said with a smile, "There are 3 additional versions, right?" "Of course, did you forget that I haven't been here for a few days?" Yongza joked with a smile. "Of course not, after all, you are Mr. Yongza." The boss laughed twice, and went to make dumplings for Yongza. He thinks his dumplings are too sweet, but Yongza still thinks they are not sweet enough. So he was deeply impressed by Yongza, and with Yongza's long-term patronage, the two have become friends who occasionally joke a few words. Yongza took a random position nearby, quietly waiting for his dumpling. He liked to eat all kinds of desserts in his previous life, and he paid a heavy price for this. Now in the world of Naruto, with the magical thing of chakra, there are many things that don't have to worry about. Senior Nagasawa. Suddenly, a vigorous voice came from behind Yongza. Yongza turned around curiously, a boy with watermelon hair and wearing a green tights came into his eyes. "Senior Yongza, thank you." Matt Kai solemnly thanked Yongza. Huh? Yongza was a little puzzled, and he hadn't done anything for Meitikai. Might Kai explained, since Kakashi returned to the village, he has been very depressed, and he is only willing to use rock-paper-scissors for a duel. But after he finished the task with you, I felt that Kakashi's youth had returned, and he even asked me for advice on physical arts. Although I don't know what you said to Kakashi, thank you very much. You are really... Yomza didn't know what to say for a while. Kakashi is really lucky to have such a friend as Kai. Senior Nagasawa, how did you cheer up Kakashi? A red-eyed girl sitting next to Kai asked curiously. She was really curious about how Nagasawa did it. She, Kai, and Asuma had been giving Kakashi advice all the time, but Kakashi didn't care about them. And Nagasawa just did the task with Kakashi, and it actually cheered Kakashi up. Asuma Gangzadi and others next to him also looked at Yomza curiously. They didn't understand how an ordinary chunin like Nagasawa cheered Kakashi up. How did you cheer up Kakashi? Nagasawa was lost in thought. P.S. Happy Mid-Autumn Festival everyone. This chapter was posted in advance, and it should have been posted at noon tomorrow. End of this chapter.